Come in, Ken.
Hello. Bonjour.
Hello, Ken.
Or what do you say in Spanish?
Hola.
Hola?
Hola.
O-L.
H-O-L-A.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hola.
Hola. Hola. So, how's the limb? Does it hurt?
No.
It doesn't hurt. Well, that's a giant step forward. Because it must have been really hurting. At one point, it must have been really hurting.
Let me just turn the music up. Do you know who this is? Sit here.
No.
Don't be shy.
I don't know. No.
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. So it's a cast. Like it's not fiberglass because they don't use fiberglass anymore, do they?
No.
It's just like some kind of
It's plaster.
It's regular plaster.
Yeah. And they've wrapped this sort of a stretchy bandage on the top.
Why? What's that on there for? Just to make it look better?
I guess it was. Hang on. I guess it was put on there when it was setting. You know, when the plaster was wet, they wrapped it with the bandage to hold it like a mummy. To hold it all together.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
When I first had the operation, I said to the nurse, I said, "Am I going to have to go down and have a cast?" And she said, "Have a look," and lifted up the blankets, and I had that on.
Oh. Were you right out? Did they put you right out?
Completely out.
Oh, I see.
I was talking to the guy about nutrition. He was saying, I do a bit of running. What should I eat for a half a marathon? And just as I was talking to him, the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm recovering.
Gee, I didn't know. It must have been pretty. I mean, that wasn't. There's degrees of everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything like our whole world revolves around the degrees of things. So the degree of severity of that was pretty high.
Well, he said it was ruptured.
Well, that's pretty high.
That's like broken.
Yeah.
But when I speak to him on Tuesday, I'm going to see him on the 2nd of May. And I'm going to ask him, I'm going to say, well, what did it look like when you were in there? Did it look as if there was scar tissue, or did it look as if there was an old injury, or was it a clean snap?
Mm-hmm. So, and are they going to take the cast off and give you a boot and then you can move it more?
I think they are probably going to give me one of those plastic boots. And the problem is they don't want it to be put under any stress, otherwise it might not mend properly.
Yeah, but you can move it.
I can move my toes.
Does that hurt?
Weight bear.
Does it hurt to move your toes?
No.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess they know what they're doing. When I said I wasn't big on the physiotherapist told me about he wasn't big on the cast, but then. Maybe you use a cast in the beginning initially, and then take that off, and then go with the boot, and then.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert, but I think it's advisable to move it, even if it does hurt.
Yeah, but
that's
not
what he
to put
told
any
me.
weight on it.
No, weight.
Well,
Don't stand on it. No.
I think in a way he put the cast on me because he couldn't trust me to take it easy and stay in bed. Kind of thing. So
he knows about you.
What did I do?
So, but you can do that and wiggle your toes and.
I could do that for the full first week after I got the injury.
Okay.
The only thing I couldn't do is I couldn't raise myself up on my toe on that foot.
Oh no, that's
with any weight.
Yeah.
I was cheating. What I was doing is I was lifting my leg up, and it looked as if I was lifting my foot up, but I wasn't. I was just lifting my leg, and my foot was hanging.
And how did you do it?
It wasn't even on a turn. I came off a trail, turned, and I was chatting away to my buddies, and the next thing I know, I flattened on the ground. I went down.
Mm-hmm. That's what.
It wasn't like I tripped. I ended up on the floor, so I assumed I must have caught my foot on something. But what I'm thinking now is I don't remember catching my foot. All I remember is that suddenly my leg gave away. My suspension broke. If you can imagine driving a car and suddenly one of your leaf springs goes on the back. That's what it felt like.
So
I couldn't raise myself up again.
So it must have separated completely. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened.
Well, when mine happened, I did a double take. I couldn't believe it when I was looking that thing I sent you about from Wikipedia.
That was very interesting.
And there was another one too, and I've lost it. But I want to find it again. It said there's all these different websites, and it gave causes, and it went down. There was 8 common causes, and number 8 was stepping in a hole. And I did a double take. I almost fell over when I saw that. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And the same thing. I wasn't paying attention like you. I was running with Al.
No brainer.
We were doing laps around Cedarville Golf Course. It was raining like crazy.
Al Howie, right?
Yeah. And there was these mushy holes.
Yeah.
I knew the mushy holes were there. Right up at the top near Finnison, there's some mushy holes in the trail. This is years ago. They probably fixed them.
Oh, that's where it gets really close to one of the greens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a mushy hole, and I was, you know me, I like to talk, so we were yakking away, and there was probably some girls in front of us. We were trying to catch or something, and I went totally off guard, like totally unprepared at all, straight into that hole.
Yeah.
And whoa! And it was this one. It's still bothering me 20 years later.
Well, that's what the guy said. He said it might fix itself, but you might end up with something that will never fix itself, and it'll always be weak.
Yeah, I mean, and mine is weak too. I really have to be careful because they're more susceptible to injury. They're easy to re-injure.
That's what happened to me. I think I got re-injured.
Yeah, and depends what you do. Like in the case of a sprinter like Donovan Bailey, he was done. He was finished because. Can you imagine the force of a world-class sprinter puts on the Achilles when they leave the blocks?
Have you ever heard of a guy called Kobe Bryson? I think he's a basketball player. Black guy.
Kobe Bryant. Oh yeah, Kobe Bryant, yeah. He's a big star, that guy was.
He did the same thing. He wasn't running with me, but he did the same thing. He ruptured his Achilles.
Oh.
The taxi driver was telling me on the way back, he said, don't worry, Kobe Bryant, what's his name? Kobe Bryant?
Bryant, I think
Kobe
it is.
Bryant did the same thing, and he's earning $1 million a game now again. So
oh, okay.
There's a chance for me yet.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Donovan Bailey is running anymore. He was one of the best sprinters in the world.
Did he do the same thing?
He was sprinting, and as far as I know, he broke it when he took off out of the blocks. When he was huge, he was incredibly powerful, and so you can imagine the force. And he was never the same again after that. And also, it's in your mind. You have this sort of in the back of your mind. There's this little fear.
Will it snap? Will it snap? Will it snap?
Yeah. So I totally don't agree with him sprinting. I mean, if his was totally separated, snapped. And they fixed it, and so obviously, I mean, I think he did some jogging or something. I don't know anything about it. I should look him up. Everything's on the internet. I should look him up and find out about him. But yeah, I know it's nothing you want to play around with, but you'll get back to. You might get back to 90% of what you were, but you might not get back to 100% where you were.
Well, I'm hoping to get back to 90% because of this recent surgery, but before that, I don't think I was even at 80% because it was injured.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was.
So you don't remember how you hurt it the first time?
No,
but,
no.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about getting back to any level of. I'm not trying to win any medals anymore. You know, I'm just quite happy to jog for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to not be able to run.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm putting up with all this business of surgery and waiting. He said 10 weeks. He said, you won't be running for at least 10 weeks.
But you didn't have any choice as far as the surgery was concerned.
I did.
Did you?
Yes. He asked me, he said, shall we leave it or are you planning to run again?
Oh.
And when I told him I was planning to run again, he said, well, the only thing really for you is surgery. Otherwise, you never know. It might snap. You might just go again.
Oh, so it wasn't totally snapped then?
I don't think it was totally snapped.
It was stretched to almost the breaking point.
Yeah. It's like a frayed rope.
Yeah. Or an elastic band that's stretched and is that really thin.
You start getting a little bit of a nick in it.
So he sounds like a smart guy. He's probably dealt with this before with other people.
Duncan Lax is his name.
Oh, yeah.
He's an orthopedic surgeon and he specialises in sports medicine.
So he's seen this before, obviously. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he's done it more than once.
Yeah.
But I was so amazed, I went in there on Easter Sunday at 7:30 in the morning, and by 12:30 in the morning, by the 12:30 in the afternoon, basically, I was in surgery. The same day.
And that's a stat holiday.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday.
I think in a way, I might have got quick service because they weren't very busy.
Mm-hmm.
You know how
That's amazing.
emergency sometimes fills up on a quiet day because nobody's got anything to do, so they say, "Oh, let's go into emergency," and it gets clogged up with people who basically not sure.
I've sat for 6 hours in emergency.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I went in there, and within minutes they said, "Okay, go into the OR." Not the OR. Go into the waiting room over there. And before long, the guy checked me out. He said, "I'm on duty all day today."
Mm.
So we
Is it LAX? X? LAX?
No, LA's
LACKX.
no, Jacks. JACKS. Jacks.
Oh, Jacks. Jacks?
Jacks.
Oh, okay, not
Jakes.
No, that's different. Yeah, Glenn's name was Jakes. That's different. Yeah.
But I got a feeling he might have been like he might have anglicized his name. You know how they do that sometimes with people with Polish names and things like that. They anglicize them.
The Germans did after the Second World War when they came over here.
I remember a guy I used to look after as a client. His name was Roland Nielsen, and when he emigrated to Canada in the 1900s or whenever it was, this guy's probably long dead now because he was about 98 when I was working with him, and when he emigrated, they said, "What's your name?" He said, "Roland Nielsen," and they said, "Rolly Nelson." So they put him down as Nelson, and from then on, he used to call himself Rolly Nelson.
Oh yeah.
But his name was Nielsen, which is, you know where that is?
Just a sec, I'll get my rear end back in up here, closer.
Get a little
What am I
closer,
sitting
man.
on here?
Oh, it's just a pile of pillows.
Your good clothes.
My good clothes. My dress suit.
Okay.
You know where that is?
In Victoria somewhere?
Yeah,
Mount Doug.
correct.
I recognize this in the background.
Yeah, it's Blenkinsop.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could look up the surgeon. I don't know. Did you bring your iPad?
Oh, damn. No, I didn't. I brought the newspaper. No, I didn't.
Oh, you're definitely old school then, eh? You brought the newspaper.
Al went up there 31 times. He did 31 Dougies, and that's because
I won't bother looking up him. It doesn't make any difference what he looks like.
I know that view because you see that.
That's from the antenna. From there's look, you can see Mount Doug from here. There's this one with the antenna on it, and then the other one is the one with the lookout. On the other, there's two little humps.
Well, I remember a railing. We always went up and touched that railing, and then went down again.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I mean, I thought I didn't even want to do it 5 times, but I did it 5 times once. That's the most I ever did it. But he'd just go all day if he wanted to.
On the road, yeah.
No, Dougie's.
Yeah, but he went up the road. He didn't go up the trails.
No, on the road, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason he did it 31 times was Sri Chinmoy was here.
I was there that day. And Claudia was at the bottom. She had a little picnic table, a folding table, and she was keeping track of his times and his splits.
Yeah, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was to impress Sri Chinmoy, and to maybe with the intent of maybe getting Sri Chinmoy to help him to get to the race in New York, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Sri Chinmoy didn't
sponsor him.
No, so I don't know what happened that year. Whether
it was basically he ran a marathon, but up at Mount Doug he did 13. Was it 13 times to the top and back?
31 times because of the 3100 miler. You see, Sri Chinmoy made a 3100 miler. That's the longest run they have, as far as I know.
Was that the one when he ran up with the torch? Because I remember running with him a couple of times. I did a couple of laps with him up to the top when he had the torch.
I can't remember. I can't remember. When they started making these crazy distances, it started off. They call it the ultimate trio, 7, 1,000, and 13. And he said, well, you can
7
come.
days?
No, 700 miles, 1,000 miles, and 1,300 miles. And he said to me, well, I'm going to go on the 1,300 miler. Why don't you come and do the 700 miler? That was the plan. He said, me, the fat jogger from Victoria, BC, going into 700. And he said, well, don't worry. There's a fat guy that comes from Bolivia. That was an eagle or a hawk or something.
Was it?
And but yeah, but I never did go. And Al never had any money. I don't even know how he got over. Well, he did. He worked like a dog, tree planting. It's really hard. Have you ever done tree planting? That's hard work.
No.
And he was really good at it. He was fast, and he could make $200 or maybe $250 a day, which is really good. Like 20 years ago, but then he. With Al, it was always feast or famine. Like he had money for a while, and then there was long stretches where he never had anything.
What did he blow it on?
I don't know. Food, I guess.
Food.
And but he always managed to get enough money, and he'd go on the bus. And you were telling me about him putting stuff on the bus, and then he'd
sending it ahead.
Sending it ahead.
A parcel of clothing.
Yeah. One time they drove across. Claudia and him drove across in this old station wagon. He told me, he said it was leaking oil, and he said we left a trail of oil all the way across America. I think I always could have done better than I did. I don't think I ever got fit.
Do you have any wins? Do you have any wins to your name?
In New Zealand, I won a beach steeplechase once.
Was that running or?
Yeah, they set up a steeplechase course on the beach.
Wow!
And I won an annual trophy.
Was that one that you had to take a drink every lap or something like that?
No, it was just we just ran up and down the beach for 10K or whatever, and over these things they made in the
sand dunes,
man-made sand dunes, and
obstacles.
And I won an annual trophy. It's one you only keep a year, and they have to turn
Are you comfortable there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
To shift yourself a little bit.
Are they called perpetual trophies or annual trophies? Those ones you turn in after a year.
That's my shrine up there.
Well, anyway, I won this trophy, and I was really proud of myself. And guess who presented it to me? He came. Arthur Lydiard came to our club for awards.
The New Zealander, right?
Yeah, Arthur Lydiard. He came and he presented it to me, and the coach of the club, he says, oh, that's that Canadian guy. He's always chasing the girls and that, which I was. I was spending a lot of time chasing those New Zealand girls. They're something else. Yeah. And so they told Lydiard that. They said, oh, he'd be a good runner if he didn't spend so much time chasing the girls. And Lydiard said to me, he says, is that true? And he was just a little guy, you know. He's not a big guy, Lydiard. Arthur Lydiard, yeah, he's dead now. Yeah. And then I had, I had some good runs. I had a good run out at Souk. Bob Reed, he was really impressed. There was a 10K they had at Souk.
Souk River 10K?
Yeah, it started on the flats, and it went out this hill and
up towards Leechtown and back again.
Yeah, and I won my age group, and Bob said he was really impressed. He said I didn't think you could run that fast, and I don't know what happened that day. I just felt good. It was one of those days when you feel really strong.
Yeah.
And I just took off.
It just feels effortless.
I just took off, and then when was the other? There was another one.
That's what I look forward to. You know, the only thing I enjoy about racing is when it feels effortless. When they ask you how was it, and you say it was like a spiritual experience. It felt wonderful.
Yeah.
Whether you won or lost or beat your best time, it just felt so wonderful.
Yeah, I've had runs like that where you seem to be floating.
Yeah. And
you think, is this really happening?
Can it always be like this? I wish it could always be like this.
You say, how do I deserve this? How come I'm floating? I mean, I thought it was hard, you know.
I'm going to wake up in a minute and realize it was a dream.
Yeah.
Do you dream a lot, Ken? I know that Joe dreams a lot. He's always waking up in the middle of the night.
No, I have this bad habit of turning my iPad on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I shouldn't do that.
Me too.
But I was telling you, I should tell you about my bad experience of doing running the first half too fast and dying in the second half. It goes before that marathon. It goes back to '69 before I left. Before I went to Australia, there was a running group at Camosun College. It wasn't called Camosun College then. It was called the Institute of Adult Studies, IAS. And Reen Rapp was there. He was teaching chemistry there.
That's the guy we were talking about, the guy who looked like Al Howard.
He was teaching chemistry, and he was in our running group. There was about 6 of us in that running group. And, Gordon Hartley was there. He was the teacher, the coach.
But that was the interurban campus, right?
No, Lansdowne, over here.
Oh, over here, okay.
Yeah, and we run from the campus down and go around Cattle Point and back again, up the hill, down the hill, and then back up the hill.
Yeah.
And
that's a nice run.
So I was getting in...
Very ritzy neighborhood.
Yeah.
You run by all the millionaires down there.
We got kicked off the golf course one time. We weren't even running we were running on the verge of the golf course, and they kicked us off.
Rather than running on Lansdowne Road,
we
ran on the grass.
The very edge of the golf course.
Because there's a row of trees.
It was like
then there's the road.
Yeah, it was like,
I used to do that. I ran between the trees and the road.
Yeah, it was like running on a carpet. It was just
beautiful
along that that golf course up there. It's just like running on a carpet. And the linesman he screamed at us, and he told us. Well, he didn't. He just said, "Get off" or something. So we got off. There was about 5 of us in the group.
Yeah.
And he's not into doing negative splits. It's not. It's just the way he is. Isn't that way? So, but the marathon's a long race. So, I mean, like did I already tell you this? Mo said to me that day I saw him. I bumped. I told you I bumped into him last week
in James Bay.
Yeah, and we went, and he said to me, well, maybe it'll be a good learning experience if he does blow up, and I don't like to look at it that way.
Too much of a lesson. It might put him off running for life.
Yeah, and I don't look at it that way. I think I'd rather him not do that, especially for the first one. I'd rather him have a good experience in his first.
2 good experiences, but Vancouver and Boston.
Yeah, so as to not turn him off running. So as not to just say, okay, well, I'm not going to do the marathon anymore. I'm only going to do half marathons and 10Ks. I mean, I actually thought Joseph had been running a lot longer than he said. I didn't know it was just 6 years, because he told me he was running in Malta when he was a kid. And I thought, oh, well, he's been a lifelong runner. That's not true.
He had 30 years break.
Yeah,
40-year break. Yep.
But they haven't had it for years. It's a shame, but...
Mount Hood. Have you ever been up Mount Hood?
No, but I know a lot of people have died on that mountain. I read about it.
Backpacking across Olympic National Park. That would be a good one to watch.
There's a plane up there that crashed. A U.S. Army plane crashed up there.
I heard about that.
Years ago, a lot of people died, and there's been climbers. Like 3 years ago, a group of climbers got.
They come back with bits of wreckage.
And did you hear about the group of 6 people? They couldn't get them off. It was too. They died up there. The search and rescue. It was too dangerous for the search and rescue to go up there, so they left them up there. They're still up there. These six people on Mount Hood. Yeah.
We were talking about overachievers, people who set their goals too high.
Yeah.
It's like those people who go to Everest. They determined to get to the highest point in the world.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
About 10 or 15 a year die up there.
Yeah, and all the junk and the garbage all around there. It's a shame.
It's sad.
And the bodies are on the mountain. They've left a lot of them. Yeah.
It makes me sad to think that people are so stubborn and so determined that they end up dying out there, and they forget about their wives, their children, the history of their families. They just decide that they want to be the man on top of Everest. Well, they have the money to do it.
Well, it's so important. They think that they have to get to the top. Like getting 3/4 of the way up.
It's not good enough.
That's not an option. They have to get to the top.
And the poor old Sherpas, they're the ones that die as well. There was a whole landslide, one of those avalanche that killed about 15 Sherpas.
Well, when we were running marathons, I guess I've done about 50, and they're all slow. And the thing was always to finish it at all costs.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I was on the mountain, Mount Everest, is it so important to me that I have to get to the top? I wouldn't be happy just to get 3/4 of the way up, and I wouldn't be happy quitting a marathon at 18 miles
No,
or 20
maybe
miles?
that's why we don't climb mountains.
Well, I
Because
mean,
we don't want to fail.
well, I mean, you
I
know,
don't mind not achieving the best possible time, but I don't like failing.
or quitting at 22 miles in a marathon.
That's right.
not an option
I've only DNF'd once in my life.
in a marathon. Yeah, there's
No,
something
in a 100 miler.
in 100 miles. Well, okay, well that's even more. And I suppose you could use the word intense. I mean,
Yeah, but it's a low key determination. That's what you need. Mo has a lot of that. Mo is determined. He will carry on until he drops. But he does occasionally DNF. Mo has DNF'd.
Yeah,
He's old enough and sensible enough to say, it's not my day, I'm going to pull up.
But
You've never DNF'd?
oh yeah, in the marathons, yeah. There's in the Victoria. I did most of them were Victoria marathons. I did Seaside and Vancouver and Seattle. And
Is that the one that now is called the Sea Wall or something? The Sea Wall Marathon? That became the Royal
No, it was the Vancouver Marathon.
Oh, okay.
It was when they started. Jack Taunton's was one of the starters of it. The original. It was 5 laps around Stanley Park. It was in the around and around and around, and then they decided to go out through Vancouver after that. But there was a couple of times when I got halfway around on the Victoria Marathon and I just got fed up and I just walked.
It wasn't your day?
I just pulled over to the side and walked, and I decided I'm not going to do this. I don't know why I did that, but I did it.
It was mental though.
A couple of times, yeah. I was just it was. I didn't like the going out to Willis Beach and back twice. They had one year you had to go out to Willis Beach and back twice.
Just to make up the distance.
It was out and back twice, two half marathons together. Yeah. And on the second time going up to Willis Beach, I was coming back along Beach Drive towards Victoria.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anybody. I just pulled over to the side and walked home. I don't know why. And then, of course, later on, I was really ashamed of myself and fed up. Why did I do that? You know. I haven't. It's been a while since I've been in a marathon. Last time was 2:05 or something, or two. Yeah, I don't know. I still have this idea. I think I'm thinking I want to go in the one in October, the marathon, Victoria Marathon, but I don't know. I'd have to get rid of this, and I'd have
see
to.
If you have fun at the 10K this Sunday.
I'll see what happens.
If you enjoy that experience,
yeah,
you might suddenly think, well, this is fun. I think I could do a bit of running again, and then between you and me, you could be part of my rehab. But for a 77-year-old, how old are you now?
75.
75. For a 75-year-old man, that's Kenyan speed. Let's face it, most Kenyans don't run after age 30.
That's right. It's just us.
Finished.
We're crazy. Why we do it over here? Who knows?
Yeah, but you've had a pretty good long run.
I have, yeah.
Not that you're running now, but your career. When did you start running? When you were 30?
High school. With John Cliff, we started grade 10, 15, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And John was a way better runner.
When did you stop running? When the doctor said that your ankle's going to give you trouble?
No, I ran in high school, and then I didn't do anything all through the 60s. It was wine, women, and song.
Yeah.
Working at mines, making big money, big women, big paychecks, big booze, everything. And then in 1970, I went to my doctor, and the doctor said, Ken, if you don't get your act together, I'm going to be coming to your memorial service. I was
that
20,
was a wake-up call.
I was 27, and I was like this. I was strong, but I was, and that kind of scared me. And I thought, gee, I mean, so then I got in with Reen and those guys at Camosun College, and that Gordon Hartley, that guy.
That's when you got back into running.
And I got into shape, pretty good shape, and that was in 1970, and I've been at it ever since, off and on, for mostly on. Some of it's been off, but mostly on since 70. So that's 30 and 17, 47 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but John's been at it pretty well continuous. He's an amazing guy. That guy. I was talking to him last night on the phone, and he's
John Cliff.
Yeah, everybody thinks he's antisocial, but he sure wasn't antisocial last night. He was. He's a history buff. He's history is everything to him. He's living in the past, I guess, and most people, I guess, they can't relate to that. But we got talking about, and I said to him last night. He said, "Well, John, I don't know if I ever told you this, but history was my best subject in school. I'd get straight A's in history and I'd flunk all of my other courses in high school. And my dad, he thought it was crazy. My dad wanted me to be a marine engineer because we were around boats. I've been around boats all my life, and my dad and my uncle were around boats. And he said, "Oh, you'll never make any money sitting on a tree reading poetry or reading history books." And he was right. Like you don't like. And he wanted me to go into science, and I checked that out. I checked marine engineering out. It wasn't that I didn't just throw up the towel and didn't. I looked into it really well, and that's a lot of work. That's 8 years.
Yeah.
You go through university, and
isn't that funny? You know, my dad wanted me to be an architect.
Oh, the same thing, eh? Yeah, same sort of thing.
There gets to a point in your adolescent life when you say, do I want to do what I want to do, or do I want to do what my dad wants me to do? And once you start being independent, once you start thinking for yourself, then that's when your dad should say, "Okay, Ken, whatever you want to do, just make sure that you're happy and do it to the best of your ability." That's all the parents should ever say to their kids. They should never force them to do something they don't enjoy.
My mum and dad finally split up, and my dad went and lived in a little house down on Cook Street across from the park, and he used to be able to see all the runners going by from the Y, that lunch bunch. Yeah. Those guys that used to run from the rail.
Did he ever see you?
And I don't know. I don't think so. And then he'd say to me, "Excuse me, I've got." When I had surgery that time, I had a tube down my throat for a month, and I've never been right ever since. I get this reflux now.
Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Is that like gas?
Yeah.
Does it come up the top or down the bottom?
It comes up, and I had this. See that scar? It was called Zinker's something. It was a hole, and they.
It's like an.
It was an obstruction in my throat. They took it out, and the surgeon went a bit too deep, and he cut a hole in my throat, so I could blow air right through the side of my throat. And so they weren't happy about that. It was supposed to be an overnight procedure, but it was in for a month because this hole had to heal up. So, and I wasn't allowed to eat, so I just liquids. So
they had a feeding tube.
A tube, and it was down there for 3.5 weeks. And ever since I've had that tube taken out, I've been getting this reflux. I don't know, but anyway, he one day I was down there visiting him, and he said, "Oh yeah, sometimes they're alone, sometimes they're in groups. These runners going by." And then another time when I'd started running, and we never got along that well together, really.
You and your dad?
We come from a broken home, and I lost my brother my brother was only 42 when he died, and my dad was hard on my sister, and he was hard on me, and finally they split. But anyway, after things got better after that, and one day he knew I was running, and I guess Mom told him, and I went over to visit him, and he said, "Hey, what's with all this running?" and I thought, I don't know. I mean, here's a guy from the old school back grew up in the 20s and the 30s in Victoria, a real redneck, commercial fisherman, and so there's nothing more foreign to those guys than running.
Being fit. He's probably a smoker all his life as well.
Yeah, smoking, a drinker. So yeah. But yeah, he wanted me to be a marine engineer, but anyways, I didn't, Carlos. I'm not a marine engineer. But if I was a marine engineer, I'd be making maybe between 150 and 200,000 a year.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have enjoyed the graft.
And I'd be like this. Yeah. I'd be like my uncle.
You'd be on your third wife.
Yeah, we had a third wife, and maybe girlfriends on the side or something. I mean, yeah. Oh, if I had all that money, I'd have a big fancy car, a big fancy house, and yeah. So maybe it's just as well that it didn't happen.
Yeah. Listen, let's call it a day for this room. My ass is getting a little sore from sitting for so long.
Okay. Yeah.
I want you to help me get our lunch together for me.
Oh, you want to have a lunch? Oh, thank you.
It's just I was waiting for it to be closer to lunchtime. Let's eat at noon.
You were waiting for me to stop talking.
No. You can talk all you
Oh,
want.
here, this is for you. I got something for you.
What did you get me? What did you get me?
You probably know the story anyway, but it's a... Look at the headline, plastered over the front page.
No dame ever runs the marathon. Oh wow, yeah, this is what's his name? What's her name? Schweitzer.
Switzerland. And she went in it this year. She was 70 years old, and she ran it again. 50
She did
years.
it pretty well. It was a good time.
She's 20 years old in that picture.
Yeah.
And she did it this year.
Catherine Schweitzer.
Yeah. 50 years later, she's 70 now.
Sheesh.
And
Oh. Well, thank you. Did you
welcome.
want this back?
No, keep it. Keep it. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, keep it. Yeah.
The Financial Post.
National Post.
National Post. All right.
Yeah. So.
Hang on. I got to show you how I walk now.